Just over 1 year ago, I purchased this 2017 Audi S3, my first new car that I have bought, and also the first non-Saab that I have really owned. In the past year, so much has happened. I've put 10,000 miles on it. We've had 2 services, 1 repair, of course, 1 very unfortunate accident. We've got some PPF done, we got some new wheels, and even more. So today I'm going to go over some of that in the video, talk about what sort of costs over the past year I have spent on this car. Before we get into that cost, I want to give a thank you to today's sponsor, Into the AM. Into the AM is a great source for some affordable, comfortable clothing. They have high quality tees, hoodies, shorts, pants, sweatpants, and more. I'm currently wearing one of their basic tees, which is just a normal looking t-shirt. They're actually running a bundle right now for these where you can get 3 basic tees for $50. They also have graphic tees. I've worn those in previous videos as well. You might have seen, you can get the graphic tees 3 for $60. On top of that, you can get an additional 10% off by using the code AutoAutopsy on the screen right here. Also, click the link at the top of the description or in the pinned comment of this video to go directly to their website. Do some shopping yourself. I've been wearing these a ton since I got them. Super happy, probably might end up even going back and getting some more. But thank you to Into the AM for sponsoring today's video. So let's talk about ownership costs of my Audi S3. I've been open about it in the past for what I paid for this car, things like that. Quite frankly, I bought this car in the worst possible time where the car market was at its absolute peak. The values of these haven't crashed by any means, but they're definitely not worth what they were a year ago when I bought this. So this is a 2017 S3 Prestige, Prestige being the highest trim available. I bought it with 29,000 miles on it. If you want more information about what sort of options this car has, as well as just a general overview of it, click the video in the top corner to check that out. When I first got the car, I wanted to get it serviced. I knew that I had both a 100-day warranty through Carvana, Carvana sucks, I'll just put that out there. But I had a 100-day warranty through them. I also had the Audi Care still available on this car, which was the factory warranty from when it was new. So first thing I did after I bought it was I took it down to Audi. They actually did the 40,000 mile service on the car. I also had them do just a general inspection of it, things like that. But the 40,000 mile service, and these are kind of the things that we're going to get into covering the cost of these services because they can vary pretty greatly. For example, the 40,000 mile service included things like spark plugs, an oil change, the air filter, and a DSG service. The DSG, of course, being the transmission in these cars. So 40,000 was a big service. The 50,000 mile service, which I took it for about 5 or 6 months ago, that was much more simple. It was just an oil change and a brake fluid flush. Because those were both covered under Audi Care, I paid $0 for those. However, the car is now out of warranty. I don't really plan on buying an extended warranty. I'll talk about that more here shortly. But generally, it seems like average annual maintenance costs on these cars, it really depends, of course, on how much you drive it, what sort of mileage intervals you're at. But like 10, 30, 50, 70,000 mile intervals, those are all pretty simple. It's usually just an oil change and maybe something else small. So those will probably only run you a couple $100 or so. But the 40,000 mile service, the 60,000, the 20,000, those usually require some additional maintenance items as well, like I spoke about a minute ago, and those can run you, of course, much more. So from what I've seen online, it seems like general maintenance costs, assuming you're doing 2 services a year, are roughly about $600 to $1,000 coming directly from the dealer. I mentioned in the beginning of this video repairs. So when I took the car in to have it inspected, I guess you could say by Audi, they did notice a little bit of coolant starting to come from the water pump and also a little bit of old oil around the valve cover gasket. So I was able to get both of those covered under the extended warranty from Carvana after fighting them for quite a while on that. I did a whole video detailing that, not going to go into it here. But I ended up paying $0 from that. But that, assuming it was just caught right now when it's out of the Carvana warranty period, that would have cost me $2,464.70. Now, these cars, the MQB platform as it's called, the chassis that the S3 sits on, and a lot of the other 2-liter turbo engines that Audi and Volkswagen make are very, very reliable. Really the only weak point on them is, of course, the water pump. So I bought this car at 29,000 miles, it now has 39,000, so it was right around 30,000 miles is when that water pump started to leak. And actually these have become such a common fault on these motors that Audi actually issued a recall on hundreds of thousands of vehicles for the water pump. So it is quite a costly repair. There's a lot of labor involved with it. I think it's about $1,500 or so. So if you haven't had yours replaced, definitely call up your Audi dealer. I believe up to about 80,000 miles is where they're willing to replace it. So definitely call them up if you haven't had your water pump replaced yet. So that brings my ownership cost still to $0.00, thankfully. So as I mentioned, about 2 weeks after I bought the car, I was hit by a guy in an RV, did a bunch of damage to the front end, about $9,000 in damage. Of course, I was not at fault. There was no deductible through my insurance for any of that. So I also paid $0 for that, but it did put the car out of commission for a couple months. That was a new headlight, new hood, new fender, some minor body repairs to the bumper, a new lower grille, paint for all of it, things like that. Once I got the car back from the body shop, I waited for the paint to cure for about 3 weeks, just parked it in the garage. Then I took it over to Dynamic Tint and I got some paint protection film installed on it. This of course not mandatory, so I'm not gonna go into too much depth on that, but I just wanted to mention it. So then if that's the case, what have I really spent money on for this vehicle? Well, really the only thing I've spent money on is actually the car itself. I put quite a bit of money down when I bought it in order to make sure I had relatively low payments. So I'm currently paying about $268.76 a month on the car. That's a 5-year loan. I have about 3% interest on that loan. So over about 12 months of making those payments, that totals $3,225.12 in payments alone. 2 more items I want to mention here. First off being insurance. Insurance on this car, because its value is much higher than my Saab's, is obviously much more expensive, unfortunately. I have full coverage on this car and I'm paying $2,972 for the year to insure this car. That works out to $200 and change per month. And then lastly is registration. The car came with 1 year registration. I just renewed it for 1 more year and that was $299. So in total, I have spent $6,496.32 on this car between payments, insurance, I guess you could also include maintenance, repairs, and registration in the year that I have owned it. There aren't any major services coming up really until about 80,000 miles. Now you might be wondering why I'm talking about 40 and 50,000 mile services when the car only has now 39,000 miles on it. That was because when I took it to Audi, it's a cross between a time-based service and also a mileage-based. So because the car was already 5-6 years old, it was time for that 40, 50,000 mile service, even though the car wasn't at that mileage yet. So next up, it'll technically be due for its 60,000 mile service, which I'm gonna do by myself because it's just an oil change and a new air filter. So you guys will probably see a video on that on the channel when the time comes. Audi recommends changing the oil once every 10,000 miles, which is just crazy. But it's been about 5,000 miles since the last oil change. I'll probably let it go another 1,000 miles or 2 before I do that. Feels really weird to do it, but that's what Audi recommends, so I'm just gonna stick with that. Because of the reliability of these cars, I'm not really considering any sort of extended warranty. Of course, Audi reached out to me when the Audi Care expired and tried to sell me on one. I just declined for the time being. I trust that this car is going to continue to be reliable for me, and really the only common failure point has already gone out for me. So I'm not too worried about it. This thing has been an absolute fantastic car and I love it. So there you have it, guys. Let me know your thoughts down below in the comments. Adding it up is a bit sad, especially considering if I would have had to pay for that valve cover gasket and water pump. For the record, the valve cover gasket didn't need to be replaced. I actually didn't even necessarily want that covered by the Carvana extended warranty, but they said they were going to cover it, so I wasn't going to complain. Really the water pump was the only actual repair it needed for about $1,500 versus if I were to do the water pump myself, I believe the part was a couple $100. I needed a special tool and it probably would have taken me a day to repair it. But I figured since it's covered under warranty, just take it to Audi, let them do it. But with that being said, guys, thank you all so much for watching. Again, please be sure to check out Into the AM for sponsoring today's video. 10% off code Auto Autopsy to get 10% off your order. So I'll see you guys all next time. Thank you all so much for watching. I'm out of here.